How do you form committees during your time in graduate school? How do you decide who should be on your committee and who it might make sense to not have on your committee? Are there certain qualities that you should look for in selecting committee members? That's coming up in today's video, Forming Your Academic Committees, Grad School Tips to Make It Work. Hey everyone, I'm Leigh from teachingacademia.com, and I'm all about giving you the tools you need to navigate academia to make your best impact. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get notifications because I put out new videos each week. So today we're going to talk about forming your academic committees and giving you some tips to make them work well. So academic committees are a part of graduate school life. Probably at a bare minimum, you're going to have some kind of program of studies committee, right? Or a guidance committee that sort of gets together and helps you think about what courses you should take, what your program should look like, help you make decisions about things that are, what should your program be in terms of courses that aren't required, and a dissertation committee, right? And you might have some other things in between that. Different institutions do things differently. Different institutions have policies about how people go on and off these committees. You need to familiarize yourself with these procedures. Policies change. Grad students may not be aware of this, but policies change. I know faculty we're always looking at the program. We're always looking at policies. We're always looking at how policies apply in practice, right? And we're looking for things that work well and don't work well. And then we're always looking to revise or refine those policies that might not be working as well as we thought they would. So a little side note here, what this means is for me as an advisor is I could have students that come in under different policies, all right? And we have to honor the policy that was in place when you came in. So I can't keep track of 50 different policies. So you need to be your own advocate with your advisor and with your committee. You need to make sure that you know your handbook, that you know the rules. And I know personally, I tell my students rules change. I may not always be up to date, or I may have your rules confused with somebody else's rules. So I always tell my students to feel free to correct me or to bring something to my attention that needs to be done. So, but your advisor may not tell you that, may not be that explicit. So be your own advocate, know the rules, make sure that you are following them, ask for people to do the things that they need to do to get you through the program. Okay, so that's just a little aside. But let's get back to how do you form your academic committees? First of all, once you're familiar with these policies that apply to you, talk it over with your advisor, right? So if you have a program of studies committee that decides what your classes are going to look like, have a meeting with your advisor where you are discussing how to make those decisions. And the same thing for a dissertation committee. You're going to have a meeting with your advisor where you discuss some possibilities of people that might be on your committee. Do not just go out into the night, gallivanting around the building, right? Randomly asking people that you personally like or that you think would work. And then go back to your advisor and say, hey, I need a dissertation committee and these 3 or 4 people have all agreed to be on it. Don't do that. That's a bad way to start, okay? For lots of reasons. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's going on in academia. There's a lot of internal politics. There's a lot of things about how people work, just how they work as an individual and how they work well with others that you're not going to be aware of, but your advisor is, okay? And I'm going to highlight a few things here about qualities I think make up good committee members, and this is going to be information that you might have about people, but your advisor for sure is going to have it, okay? So, talk with your advisor, get some suggestions. Don't come in thinking that you've got it all set, okay? But definitely come to the table with who you think should be on your committee if you have strong feelings either way. Here are some things that I like in committee members. Number one is they need to have a purpose for being on your committee, okay? And having a purpose isn't because you personally like them, although that's nice. That's a bonus. Having a purpose is not, I think they'll be easy on me, or having a purpose is not, oh, this person thinks I'm a good writer, or this person thinks I'm smart, so this will go well if I put them on my committee. They should have the background knowledge and skill set that you require in order to support whatever that committee is. So for a dissertation committee, if you're doing an ethnography, for example, you need somebody on there that has done ethnographies, understands qualitative research. So you're not going to plop a statistician, for example, right, on an ethnographic dissertation committee because you had his classes and you really liked him or her, right? And so no, that's not going to work. So everybody needs to have a specific purpose. And I have had students come to me and ask me to be on their committees, and when I meet with them, I can't tell what my purpose would be. I can't see where I would fit into the committee, what I would have to offer. And when I ask, because I will ask if it's not obvious to me, sometimes they can't tell me. And if I don't see a purpose and you can't tell me a purpose, I'm going to decline, okay? Make sure that each committee member has a purpose and that they understand how they're going to serve your committee, okay? Number 2, we'll read and respond to your work in a timely manner, okay? If you've had classes, and you may have had classes with some or all of your committee members, but not necessarily, okay? But if you have, then you already know things about how organized they are, how responsive they are, what kind of feedback they give. If you don't know, probably other students have those experiences. Your advisor can probably tell you. If you suggest somebody, and for me, it brings up a red flag, I'm going to tell you, no, probably you don't want to do that. But you want somebody that's going to be able to, be available, not somebody that you're going to have to hound to try to get feedback from and then have it just be mediocre feedback, okay? Which brings me to my next point. Make sure that this is somebody that responds to email, okay? You want somebody that is accessible, okay? You want somebody that you can schedule relatively easily, okay, in an appropriate time frame. I'm not saying that whoever's on your committee needs to be available tomorrow if you need them, but you should be able to get a hold of them and get a meeting set up within a week or two. It shouldn't be anything difficult to do. You want somebody that responds to their email, ideally within 24 hours, if they're in town and don't have anything weird going on, right? Aren't overloaded. So you want somebody that's accessible, okay? What I will tell you that, faculty that do not respond to emails miss the communication about, hey, we need to get this defense set up. Hey, we need to schedule a program of studies meeting. And then it makes it very difficult on the student to be able to get those things scheduled. And I know I have had to tell students before, we're going to just set the time and we're going to set the date, and this person's had a couple weeks to respond. They've had multiple emails. They're not responding. So what we're going to do is just say, hey, we've contacted you, you haven't responded, and this is the time and the date that the defense is going to be. So we hope you can be there. So you don't want your stuff getting held up by people that, while they might be very smart and have a lot to contribute, okay, they might have a good purpose on your committee and they might give good feedback when they give it, but if they're not responding to emails that are difficult to schedule, is that something you really want to fool with? It's not something I want to fool with. Finally, I'm going to say you want somebody that their ego is in check. Okay. We all probably have stories, or all faculty have stories about, people that come to committee meetings and they make it all about them. I have known people that are very insistent that if they are on your committee for your dissertation, that you have to cite their work. That may not really be relevant, right? Or it may not make sense to do so in the context that they want it done in, but they're very insistent that their work has to be in your dissertation in some way if they're on your committee, okay? Or they use the time in discussions and questions to talk about their work and to talk about themselves, okay? So people that are egotistical, you don't want them on your committee. Again, they might have a really good purpose. They might be really smart. And when they give you feedback, it might be really good. They might even read their emails and be on time for everything. But if they're super egotistical and make everything all about them, then they're not really serving you in the end, okay? So I think, from these tips, what I would say is I guess some of them are deal breakers for me in and of themselves, but it's not, you can sort of see how I can say somebody has a clear purpose, somebody's really smart, somebody's very helpful to you, they're not egotistical, but they won't respond to email, and they're very difficult to schedule. All right, so is that something that you want to put up with? You're going to have to make these decisions. You and your advisor are going to have to make these decisions, and they're decisions that you can make together. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so you can catch all of my videos. And while you're at it, head down in the comment section and let's talk. How are you going about forming committees? What are some of the criteria that you use to think about who you do or do not want on your different academic committees? So let's talk about it, give each other some feedback and support so that we can help you move forward with your academic journey.